SARIF is meant to allow static analysis tools to have a common output format. It facilitates tools that detect and report code issues and vulnerabilities by performing static analysis. Now, it also enables developers to aggregate results that are produced by multiple tools. And it supports development of products with code that spans different programming languages and operating systems. It also allows access to a broader range of potential defects and vulnerabilities by combining multiple static analysis tools. Okay. So SARIF allows not only interoperability of a single tool pipeline where you have one static analysis tool that would output SARIF and one visualization tool that would input SARIF. Okay, but it also allows integration from results of multiple static analysis tools. And just to put that into context, before I got involved in SARIF, I used to work for CERT, the Computer Emergency Response Team. And we used to take government and industry source code and analyze it for defects and vulnerabilities. And we found that each vendor's static analysis tool approaches the problem from a different angle. And so different static analysis tools are good at catching different kinds of vulnerabilities. So we would run 5 or 6 static analysis tools on one code base and get a much more complete picture of the vulnerabilities in that code. The problem was combining those results. So it wasn't until after I left CERT that SARIF started, and I thought, oh, I wish I had had this, because it makes it much easier to combine the results of multiple static analysis tools into one common format, so you get a much broader picture of the vulnerabilities in your code. Okay. SARIF 1.0 originally started at Microsoft, but SARIF 2.0 is being opened up to the entire industry through the OASIS process. And it has completed its first committee specification draft public comment period. Next slide. Where we are now is we are now working on the second committee specification draft, and we will have a public comment period on that possibly around December. It's not, there's always a certain amount of variability in the schedule, but possibly sometime around December we'll have a public comment period for that. Now, assuming a successful public comment period with no technical changes, we'll advance that to a committee specification. Excuse me. Okay. The next stage after that is candidate OASIS standard, followed by OASIS standard. And if we decide to do so in the future, we may submit it as an ISO standard after it becomes an OASIS standard. If we do decide to do that, we have a head start because I'm the chair of the ISO committee where it would land. Okay, next slide, please. All right, so you can see we have quite a variety of participants. We have static analysis code, static analysis vendors. We have people who use other people's static analysis tools to analyze code. We have code developers. We have a really nice variety here. We are in the second half of our development of the standard, okay? Having gone through the first public comment period already. And what's good to do now is to have vendors check and make sure that we have captured the needs of their tools. And if there are users that have special requirements, it's good for them to check and make sure that what we have meets their requirements. Okay, next slide. So you can see there's quite a variety of possible participants. Government agencies and contractors would do what I talked about doing at CERT. They would take in code and analyze it, find the vulnerabilities, and report back. Software providers would do their own analysis ahead of time so that somebody else wouldn't catch their vulnerability. Cybersecurity companies would help software providers catch vulnerabilities. Security orchestration specialists would go through the third-party code that a company uses and check to see that, that it's free of vulnerabilities. Programmers would want to run static analysis tools before they release their code so they don't get embarrassed later. And consultants would help organizations go in and analyze their code and root out any problems. Okay, so now I'm going to turn it over for discussion of the general OASIS considerations.
Thanks, David. Okay, hopefully David has convinced you all about why SARIF is such an exciting project and something you should consider getting involved in. But naturally, you know, each person wants to know what's in it for my company. And the big answer is because why you should get involved is because it's going to affect you, it's going to affect your business. And if you're a vendor of static analysis tools, if you don't get involved, this standard that's going to impact you will be defined by your competitors. If you're a user of static analysis tools and you don't get involved, you're letting the vendors call all the shots and they may not have all of your best interests at heart. So, well, I didn't mean to say that in a bad way. I'm sure they will, but you want to be part of this process. So being on the SARIF Technical Committee has a lot of advantages technically. It also has a lot of marketing advantages. We make sure that our members are recognized for their commitment to interoperability. You get the power to influence which way the standard is going, and you can contribute, you know, your feedback, your ideas, your use cases, your business cases to make sure that the standard is going to meet your needs at the end. If you're a vendor, compliance is a huge thing for you. You get an inside track and a head start to ensure that your products are going to comply with the standard when it's finished. If you're a user, you have insight into the standard, which way it's going. You can demand compliance from your tool vendors, and it will help you choose products that are going to comply. What will you gain personally by being part of SARIF? I mean, a lot of people overlook this question, but if you talk to OASIS members, if you look at their profiles on LinkedIn or their bios at conference presentations, you see how much participation means to them, how proud they are to be part of the group that's defining interoperability, to be wearing a white hat. You get that credibility, you get that notoriety, you get that networking experience, you save time. Some members have said that participating in a technical committee, working on interop demos is like having an extra R&D resource. It helps them identify compliance issues before they ship products. I've had other members say, you know, if I have a question or I have a hidden issue, you know, that would take me days to figure it out, or I would go to a conference or whatever, I can just ask my TC members and I can get advice and help that really can you know, is what I need. So there's a huge amount of practical advantages to just participating in the TC. And I think if you get involved, you're going to find that's the case. What do you have to do? Everybody has day jobs. Everybody's always kind of concerned about, you know, how many cycles is this going to absorb for me to participate meaningfully? So the only requirements are OASIS dues. So you need to pay OASIS dues. You sign a membership agreement, which ensures that everybody agrees to the IP and all of the standardization issues are covered. And when you do that, you subscribe to the TC email list. You can have one person from your company. You can have, if your company joins OASIS, you can have as many people as you want. Some of them can be voting members, some could be observers. That's all up to you. You can get involved, as well as SARIF, in other OASIS technical committees, and there's no additional fees or charges. So you might want to be involved in the STICS cybersecurity work we're doing, or OpenC2, or, as I said, we have more than 70 active technical committees right now. When you're involved on the TC, you get to vote on the decisions, you get the preview and vote on the documents, and you can attend TC conference calls. Actually, in the case of SARIF, they hold 2 calls a month. So every other week there's a call, and I don't think SARIF has held any face-to-face meetings. They always could. It's always up to the TC. If they choose to hold a face-to-face meeting, perhaps it's at a conference where everybody is going anyway, but we always make sure there's dial-in provided so that you never have to travel as an OASIS member to participate fully. Beyond that, you can get involved as much or as little as you want, and your participation can fluctuate as the needs of your day job impact you. So you can contribute ideas, you can contribute feedback, use cases, you can decide you want to serve as a spec editor. You can raise your hand, say, I think we need to form a subcommittee, or I think we need to do an interop demo here, or I want to speak about this at this conference. I want to develop best practices, all of those kinds of things. We're always open to that, and you can take those on. OASIS offers 2 different levels of membership for companies or organizations, and that's contributor and sponsor. Both of those levels have identical technical unlimited participation benefits as I described. The sponsor level adds marketing benefits. So sponsors are the only ones who are mentioned and quoted in press releases. They get their logos on the OASIS homepage. They get links to their websites from the SARIF Technical Committee homepage. They get chosen to be speakers at events and webinars, things like that. Most vendors choose to join at the sponsor level, but it's completely up to you. There's also an opportunity, if your organization is not ready to join, you can join as an individual. We have 2 different dues structures for that versus whether you're employed by a company or whether you're self-employed. So we try as much as possible to make it possible for everyone to have a seat at the table where the standards are being developed. We think that's hugely important. Okay, sorry. I think now I'm going to turn off the recording. We're going to open it up to questions and comments.